Welcome to Water Books.
Welcome. Thank you.
Can we start by each of you telling us a bit more about yourselves?
Okay, baik. Ladies first. Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, thank you, Badai Ibrahim, for hosting us, and welcome to all fellow viewers. Okay, my name is Sidek and Enon. I am a social worker in terms of my training, and I've been in design for almost like 30 years. I major in social work, have my honors in sociology, and I did my master in social work. So I have a quite a diverse working experience. I started with the Singapore Anti-Narcotic Association, and after that I joined National Council Social Service, and later I set up my own company whereby me and my other two friends, Kamisa and Fatima, we provide consultation to the local social service organization. So we do counselling, we also do program development, volunteer training, all sort of things under the sun. At one time, I even tendered under Health Promotion Board, which is our something like our state board under Ministry of Health, whereby I did a sex enrichment program for Muslim couple. This started my collaboration with Ustaz Muhammad Rahmat and Brother Amban, who's another social worker, and Usman. So we developed a 2 weekends sex enrichment workshop with the theme of helping them to spice up their sex life. I do know that when I pick up this topic, quite a number of my social work friends were kind of intrigued and felt like it's so weird as a social worker wanting to talk about sex. But I do feel and see that when I do my marital counselor, sex issues and problem is one of the difficulty that couple has difficulty in talking about and resolving, and it does lead to a lot of unhappiness in the marriage that lead to the marital breakdown. So that's my background as mainly as a social worker and a counselor.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Osman. I'm actually trained as an architect, graduated about the same time as she was, and she got interested in me, so I married her.
Yeah, that's why he think. It's always like that.
So my training is more in design and architecture and in that area. I get involved in this more because of starting as an activist in Muslim Converts Association, Darakam Singapore. First teaching converts and non-Muslims on introductory Islam, and then after that got roped into their marriage guidance, marriage preparation program. So that's how I got into this area of work. So even though my formal training is not in sociology and in marriage and things like that, it is more through the activism that I get involved, and also through being married to Enon. Almost every day we discuss about her cases, of course with privacy. Privacy being controlled, was it kept confidential? But you know, in terms of, she always asks me from the man's point of view, and you know, so I get a lot of information and also insights from how she handles marital problems. And after being married to her for so many years, so I kind of know her direction and her way of thinking. And so when it comes to wanting to write these books, I can become like her voice lah. Because if I may say so myself, between she and I'm the better writer. Although she is the professional, so I can express. But in any case, after I've written the material, she ultimately she's the boss lah, basically. So she review all those that I've written, and only when it's agreed by her, then it becomes the book.
So this is what happened when you are married for almost more than 30 years. You know, our memory lapse. I remember you were the one who's interested in this topic. You know. So anyway, some of the things that I, alhamdulillah, was able to do when I was doing counselling at Sharia Court. This is a court that help couples to process their divorce. When I see couple who has a sexual issue and they want to work on their marriage, I was able to get permission for them to bring in Osman to come in the session and also more to talk to the husband, because there are certain things that I sincerely don't feel comfortable talking to the husband, especially is about their sexual problem and all that. So I will deal with the wife and he will deal with the husband, and then we will come back together to see where they can move on. I also want to pause a while to say, MashaAllah, I see we start here. So glad that he's here. He's one of our co-ustad now. We really enjoy working with him and had worked with him. He was the ustad who helped to edit all the hadiths that are used in Tranquil Heart together with Ustad Yahya Fidaus. Oh, Fidaus, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, they didn't. It's not only the hadith that they check. Actually, they read through the whole book.
Yeah.
And so, if there were any points of view that we express, which not only wrong, if they find it's controversial, they will highlight to us, and we have to change it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, even though we are not formally trained as asatiza or faqih, we are confident that what we write, it's not too far away from what Islam teaches because of these ustads that are behind us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thanks for sharing your diverse experience and thousands of hours of field work. And this is definitely a recipe for working and developing a book such as Tranquil Hearts. And Tranquil Hearts itself, it was published, I believe, 20 years ago.
Yes.
And has been used by and has helped countless couples in their marital journey. Chiefly amongst, correct me if I'm wrong, chiefly among the people who attend the marriage preparation course at Darul.
Yes.
And as a testimony of its sheer usefulness, the book is still going strong and is still being used in the classes. So, moving on from yourselves as authors, can you tell us about how the book came about?
Okay. In 1990s, I was involved in the marriage preparation course that was organized by the Muslim Converts Association of Singapore. So this one in short is called Darul or Darul Akam here. And I chair the marriage guidance course committee. So after about 4 or 5 years, the management asked me whether I want to get all the lecture notes published into a book. At that point, we actually employed an editor, but we find that it didn't fit what we wanted. And fortunately, at that time too, it was about 1996, me and Fatima Ismail, my social work friend, we were both not working. And we decided that we will take upon this project. And it took us actually 2 years, almost every day, to write and research for the book. Subsequently, towards the last part, Osman come on board. He provided this framework, which I think ties in all the concept that we wanted to present. This book is still used in Darul Akam, and when it was about to be published, the Muslim Religious Council of Singapore, or MUIS, was very kind to support the book, and actually the first edition was published by MUIS and Darul Akam. And this became actually as a factor that helped MUIS when they want to streamline and have a common theme for the marriage guidance course. So I think as a result of that, me, Fatima, and Osman, we were on board, and we helped in the production of Jalur Hidayah, which was the first Muslim marriage guidance course material that was made common to all the mosques at that time. Yeah. For those who are familiar,
the first book was in Malay.
Yes, the MUIS book was in English. In Malay, it's called Jalur Hidayah. So we helped after that, after we had done Tranquil Heart. Yeah. So basically, Tranquil Heart became like something that they set the precedent, let's do something common for all the mosques. And right now, I think they have continued with Bersamamu. Yeah. So that was the background. And we do this as our voluntary work. Me, Fatima, and Osman, we do not take any royalty from the book at all. It was really sincerely to help it to be useful for the Muslim, be it the convert or the born Muslim. So that was the background of this book.
You said that Osman came in to provide a framework and structure. What do you mean by that?
after the book was written, actually, this is like how many? The third. This one is like the third version of the book. At one point, at first they felt, before I came in, they felt that there was nothing special about this book in comparison to any other book written by non-Muslim or from any sources. So the one round was to look at other materials and see whether there is an Islamic element to it. But after that phase, they feel that there is also no common thread running through. And at that point, I don't know how I got into the team.
I entice you.
Probably. And so that was the task that she gave to me, to look into all the materials and look at the what is it that can tie all these things together. So the theme that I came up with is actually is this framework which I don't know how to start because it's so long ago. But basically, the materials can be reorganized in the framework that Islam itself comes to us. If you notice that Islam is not just the hukum and hakam, but it is also about our iman, the aqidah, sharia, and also akhlaq. These three aspects can actually be seen in the notes, although at that point it is quite all over the place. So what she meant by framework is that I provided the framework where all this material, all these messages about how marriage is organized in Islam can actually be seen from the point of view of Aqidah, from the point of view of Sharia, and from the point of view of Akhlaq. And at that point also, we noticed that the Muslim community is a bit too obsessed with hukum hakam, with the Sharia aspect of Islam in almost everything, in not only in marriage, also in terms of politics, in terms of any economy, anything. What we wanted to do is actually reintroduce. It's nothing new. It has always been in Islam, but we just want to reintroduce this perspective about things in Islam are not only in the hukum aspect. There is also the ideological aspect of marriage. There is also the refinement aspect of marriage. So that's when I introduced the concept that marriage can be seen from the point of view of Aqidah, Sharia, as well as Akhlaq.
Nowadays, I think they tend to look at the lens of Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. I wonder whether that can be mapped because your paradigm of Iman, Amal, Aqidah, and some sort of a adab.
It's actually, how to say this? This is like, I think this is like different levels of looking at things.
Right.
At the macro level, we are talking about Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq. At the implementational level, at the personal level rather, it is about the same thing. The Aqidah is actually about our Iman. Sharia is actually about our Amal. And Akhlaq is actually about our Ihsan, which is the essence of Akhlaq in Islam. So, you can put it as Iman, Amal, Ihsan, or you can put it as Aqidah, Sharia, Akhlaq. We are talking about the same.
Essentially, is a holistic approach to marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe to clarify for those who are not familiar, Ihsan means to have best conduct.
Literally, it means to have the best of conduct. But the Prophet defined Ihsan as, if you remember, there's one hadith where, remember this hadith is known as the hadith Jibril, where Jibril came to the Prophet and he asked the Prophet this three question: what is Islam, and then the Prophet mentioned, and then what is Iman, the Prophet explained. And then the last one, he asked, what is Ihsan? You remember the definition given by the Prophet is Ihsan is to serve God like as if you see him. And if you can't see him, he certainly sees you. So it is about a Muslim being very conscious that everything that he does is actually about a service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Excuse me. And it's also about the quality of our service lah, because it is as if we it is as if we see Allah. So of course the quality of our service will be upgraded by ourselves. So
Yeah, and it's actually seeing marriage as ibadah as well.
Yeah.
So that's the framework that was adopted. What about the core message of the book?
Okay. Core message of the book. Okay. I thought you would answer that. Okay. This is when I relax because it's the okay. But to be fair, Tranquil is written by 3 person. So you can when you look at the book, you can see different writing style, because me and Fatima, we wrote the topics like adjustment in marriage, communication, conflict management, parenting. Usman write the heavier topic, like marriage in Islam, rules, rights, and responsibility.
Yeah. And also,
who's in charge of the cartoons?
Cartoon with this guy called there's a cartoonist, and I'm trying to find him, but I didn't find him. I can't find him anymore.
I would say that the core message that we want to give is to realign our understanding of marriage, and to bring in the meaning of marriage in relation to our iman, and of course without abandoning the Sharia aspect of Islam. You know, of course that's not the objective, but it is to balance it. You know, rather than looking at the do's and don'ts, right and wrong, and we find that couples can end up being like lawyers in the house. Sometimes lawyers on the bed also, when they only concerned about what is their right, what is their right, and what is the other person's responsibility. So we should. The book wants to remind people that beyond this right and wrong, there's also the meaning behind it. Like for example, if you look at the meaning of marriage, that it is actually one. We know that when Allah Subhanahu wa Taala placed us on earth as a Khalifa, He has given us all the means, and the obvious means that we remember would be like our wealth, our strength, our knowledge, so on and so forth. But there's also an element of family ties, which is actually natural among mankind. And that is also one of the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us to organize society. And so when we go into marriage with this understanding, we will always remind ourselves of that vision that we have. That it is not just about you know, our so-called love, our attraction to each other, but it's also about developing, or it is also about community, about developing our community. That means we are part and parcel of this community which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wants us to develop together. So when we are in marriage, we are part and parcel of that. So our vision of our marriage becomes a bit more important than just being together with somebody that we love. That's the aspect of iman, the aspect of the the theoretical aspect of marriage. The other aspect which is often forgotten is this aspect of the refinement of the values. That is the aspect of akhlaq. So in everything, when we do salat, when we do zakat, or when we do fasting, for example, to like for example, fasting lah. Let's take fasting. When you do fasting, the purpose is actually to attain self-restraint. That is only the theory. But in order to acquire that self-restraint, we actually need somebody to observe us, somebody to correct us, somebody to advise us, sometimes somebody to scold us for the wrong things that we do while we are fasting. Even though we are fasting perfectly in terms of the hukum, but for example, we backbite or we enjoy too much, you know, or we waste our time, for example. So there is, in Islam, there's a tradition of somebody observing this and correcting you. And the most prominent person that could do this work is actually parents lah. So when we go into marriage, it's the same thing also, that we say we want to, there's this ideal that we have, that we want to achieve love, tranquility, and mercy. But that love, tranquility, mercy is not automatic actually. It's not automatic. We don't get it when we do the akad nikah. It has to be inculcated. And in order to inculcate it, we need somebody to observe. We need somebody to tell us what we go wrong. And if we know where we go wrong, how to correct it, so on and so forth. So that person can either be your parents, or it could also be the two of you. You know, the two of you couples can also be mutual educators, you know, to each other. So that is the third aspect of marriage, which I think is often forgotten.
I see.
Yeah.
I wonder if we...
Yeah, to add on, of course, I feel that marriage, your partner is your soulmate, that we journey together towards Jannah, inshallah, towards becoming a better Muslim. So that was a main theme of the book, that marriage is a vehicle that has been designed by Allah for us to really become a better Muslim. Because in your partner is someone that you can share your fear, your anxiety, and your partner will, because they love you, will accept you and support you. This is the ideal that I see happening in marriage, and I think can be done if couple are more conscientious and learn to actually be have empathy and listen to one and to each other. But I felt that in current generation, even in our time, people who come into the marriage, they expect the partner to fill up their gap. You know, you need to fill up my need. I need you to take care of me. I need you to pamper me. I need you to serve me. Rather than learning to actually be more responsive to each other. So that causes a lot of mismatch and conflict in couples after a few years of marriage, or even sometimes early years of marriage. Yeah. So basically, the sum is that we see the marriage as a vehicle towards journeying together towards Allah. That I think is how I see it.
Thank you for that sharing and for that background. I just wonder if we could change gears a bit, because this book has been in print for some time, and books that have been in print for a long time tend to have a life of its own, and certainly a life among readers. Do you have any anecdotes or stories from readers who have reached out to you and have benefited from the book?
Yeah, I remember a story from Elle. Elle, who works in WADA, and she's actually my secretary and my chief proofreader when we were doing Tranquil. How a Caucasian lady came to WADA and asked whether they carry Tranquil, because she said their imam had asked that you come to Singapore, do buy the copy. So Elle said that we don't carry Tranquil, but she personally has copies of it because she's my team. But they say, oh, I'm going to fly off to KL the next day, which is like almost gone case. But then I said, oh, it's okay. I'm also going to KL. So actually they met at the KL airport, and she was able to give the book to them. Yeah, and we were surprised that Tranquil Heart is still being quoted online by people as late as 2019, 2018. Yeah, you must understand the context of this book is that when we do it, it was our community service for our account, and we were not very concerned about whether it sells or not, because we're not benefiting for it. And I think for Darul, their target for the book is actually for the members who attend the marriage course. So I think we were not able to publicize the book much. Actually, we didn't publicize the book at all. And I think it's really by the blessing of Allah that I thought, oh, maybe I asked Al to ask you whether you want to carry the book. You know, and that started this whole thing rolling. Okay, so I say, let's really promote it because there's value into it. Plus also we want to link up to our next project, Tada, which we will tell you later if you ask us. Yeah, so that's how, yeah. So we have good reviews about the book. And I remember they said that some people from Sri Lanka and all that came, and MCS, Darul Arkam gave them like 50 copies, or they buy 50 copies, that kind of thing. Yeah, but we actually do not find out so much detail because it's just really our service for Darul.
Yeah, but once in a while we would, you know, as per normal, we will Google ourselves, and we will find Tranquil Hearts being. So far, we have found that Tranquil Hearts has been quoted by 6 websites, and we have put this in our own website. The links we have put in our own website. If you are interested to see who has been quoting us, and an interesting one is a Bosnian website who translated a passage from the book. God knows what is it that they talk about. It's all in Bosnian, but the word Tranquil Hearts and appears, and we know it is actually from the book. That's about it that we hear. Yeah.
You were alluding to some future projects. Anything you can share about that?
Yeah. Actually, you want to start with? Or?
No, this is your pet topic.
Okay.
Can I give the title first? Upcoming.
The link to Tranquil Hearts is actually after about 15 years. We thought that it has been a long time since the book came out. The book should be reviewed. In that space of 15 years, you know, internet, social media came out. When we published it, internet was there, but it was still in infancy. Only a few people know how to do it. We also not very familiar with it. And by 15 years, social media, WhatsApp, at that time WhatsApp, Instagram I think not yet, but WhatsApp, this one, Facebook was very hot. And she also began to have cases involving you know, the sexual shenanigans that happens involving social media. And at the same time also, because but by that time we are also more familiar with the internet, we also hear a lot of adverse comments about Islam and about Islamic values on marriage, Islamic values on sex, and so forth, on women also. So we feel the need to respond to this also. So it's a double need of upgrading the information that we have provided in Tranquil Hearts, as well as to confront or rather to address this adverse perception of Islam. We felt that we need to rewrite. However, after we finish rewriting, we find that this new book is quite different from Tranquil Hearts, because we have to respond to the internet audience, right? So it has become a little bit more international. So we decided to make this a different book, because the information that is in Tranquil Hearts is actually very basic. If we were to change it, then this basic information will be lost. So we decided that we should actually try to publish a different book. and we call that book Tranquility, Love, Mercy. Tranquility, Love, Mercy with a subtitle Islamic Ideals, Modern Marriages. From there, we found a publisher, but the publisher felt that it's a bit too thick and it's a bit too much of a financial investment on their side. So they wanted us to break the book into two, which we felt is a bit cumbersome for people to read, part one and then part two. So we instead we decided that in this new book, we find that there are 9 chapters, and we find that 3 chapters actually talk about sex. And coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, maybe it has always been in our frame of mind. It talks about sex from the Iman point of view, from the Amal point of view, and also from the Ihsan point of view. So because of that, we decided to take away these 3 chapters and make it into the first book. And we call that book Sexual in Islam. That book, there's the first book that we'll be referring to. We call it SSI. That book is now being prepared by Claritas Books in UK, Swansea. And inshallah, it will be distributed throughout the English-speaking world, Muslim world. The second book, we have not found a publisher. That one will be called, we will retain the original title, which is TLM, Tranquility, Love, Mercy. Okay. So this 2 books is actually like, we go deeper into the topics that is discussed in Tranquil Hearts. Like for example, in Tranquil Hearts, if we talk about okay, let's start with SSI first. If we talk about marriage being a gift, being a means, one of the means given by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, in SSI we will connect it to the existence of the sexual phenomena itself. Why the sexual phenomena affects our understanding of our existence in the first place, and how this understanding of our existence actually color how Islam wants us to treat sex, which leads to our concept of exclusive zones, which is actually in the book, and which is actually referring to the institution of marriage. So in that book, we will go deeper into the interaction between the soul and the sex. That means the spirituality of our humanity and the carnality of our spirituality. Actually, there is an interaction between these two. If we understand it well, the human self can actually make use of the sexuality to benefit the soul, actually. But if we don't do it well, it can be the other way around. The sexuality can actually overtake everything and bring us very much engrossed into this world. So that's one example. Another example would be like if in Tranquil Hearts we talk about finance responsibility on family finances. In TLM, we go deeper. We will look at the kind. I think a better example would be if in Tranquil Hearts we talk about roles and responsibility. In TLM, we will look at how this affects modern marriages today. Like for example, in Tranquil Hearts, we don't have the space to discuss the contemporary models of family management, like nowadays we have
husband not working,
husband not working, house husband, or double income. Double income is also a new model, and some of this double income situation is by choice. Some is not by choice. Some is by by circumstances. Some is due to husband wanting the wife to work. Some is due to the wife wanting to work. And then there is also the situation where the couple find that it is actually a lot more sense for the wife to go out to work and the husband to be at home. So all this will affect the Islamic concept of leadership, family leadership. So in TLM, we go deeper into this. Will all these different models, different family dynamics, does it have to change the Islamic concept of husbandly leadership? So we will go deeper into that. Anything else?
Yeah.
So basically, that's to cut the long story short, is like that lah.
We have 2 more.
Yeah, is these 2 books will go deeper into the basic instructive information that we have in Tranquil Hearts, and it goes deeper mainly due to her. She has 15 years more experience. She has 15 years more
Counselling experience.
meeting a lot of
People,
issues, problems. So kind of we get more aware of the problems that people face lah.
If I mean, just to go into like a tangent, if just for curiosity, if you were to identify one major change from your writing and your fieldwork, a major change in problems in marriage 20 years ago and today, what would be it?
I think in this current generation, the struggle will be more of the self. You know, when people go into marriage, they bring a lot of their own issues, their own baggage into it, and I feel that maybe the last 20 years, our generation has been raised to be quite self-centered and very individualistic. I am more important. You know, my need, my requirement, my happiness, what I want. So when we have this new generation who are brought up with this paradigm, when you get married, you know, that has to be managed because you have to work together as a team. And how do you reconcile my need being important, and then you're having somebody who also say you must also look into my need, both sides asking for it. I think that the individualistic nature of a person, and having to kind of I wouldn't say compromise, because we don't actually believe in that, of having to balance that with your partner's need. So a lot of couple, I think now, have less tolerance of their need not being met, and they could say, oh, you can't fulfill me, you only think about yourself, your interests, then might as well we split. There's a need to be patient and to try and work things out. That will be the challenge for the current generation, of what is happening to yourself as an individual. And of course, the internet and the social media really create more chaos in terms of couple time, couple attention together. You know, sometimes couple can be together and both one corner looking at the phone and hardly interact. I even have client who told me sometimes even while having sex, another party could look at their phone and trying to text, you know, which is really not nonsense lah. That's the only word I can say.
From what she tells me from her cases, I can remember two distinct examples. One is actually pornography.
Yep.
Pornography, and when she told me, I remember that some of these cases involve men who are practicing Muslims, who pray 5 times a day, and who would be, the wife would be happy with them in every other aspect, but because pornography has become normalized, been normalized among their friends. So to them, it is like, one of the cases I remember she mentioned is the husband didn't know that it was it would be that the wife would be offended when he shows her a particular move that they should be doing that. Okay, so
particular body from somewhere.
Okay, that's one example.
Yeah.
The other example that I can remember her telling me is how at that time it was Facebook, or WhatsApp and Instagram was not even there, but Facebook. Through Facebook, people get in touch with their old flames. So after a few years of marriage, they get, you know, a bit itchy with themselves. They get a little bit, sometimes there are some friction.
Right.
And then this Facebook and also other forms of social media has become a very good testing ground. You know, because like they can just give a very passing remark, a very complimentary passing remark. If the other person don't like it, they just keep quiet. But if the other person likes it
And respond.
and respond, and it's easier, because of that, it's easier to make this passing remark. Because it's not like, you know, when you are face to face,
Right.
it's a little bit awkward for you to do that. But you know, on social media, or at that time it was not WhatsApp, right? I mentioned, I remember it was just Facebook. You can just make a passing remark. If the person don't like it, okay, no, don't like it. But it so happened, many actually old flames respond, and between old flames, that has become a new avenue for EMAs to happen. So these are two examples which I can remember from her sharing with me.
What I find quite interesting is that you're sharing about the problems of pornography, and that somehow squares with what you have been doing for the past few years, which is about sexuality education. How does pornography and sexuality education proceed in this kind of environment?
All right. So you're saying, what is the effect of pornography on a couple, or you're saying about?
Because there is this assumption that people who are veterans of pornography know everything about sex. So
Okay.
this is what I'm putting to you.
So they're saying that you want to learn to be a better lover, you look at pornography lah, basically, as a means to understand or start understudy lah.
Not exactly that. What I'm saying is how does sexuality education come into play when people feel that they know everything already?
Okay. This one, can I give my favorite quotation? So we have this favorite quotation about people now. So clever becomes so stupid. Okay, then you answer.
So if I can rephrase the question, how do we conduct sexuality education to people who think that they have known everything lah?
Through pornography, especially.
Through pornography. Right. Firstly, don't get me wrong. The cases that I mentioned just now, men being addicted to pornography, that is through her cases. Whereas the sexuality education that we conduct are a different group of people, a different audience. So it may not, in the first place, it may not be the same kind of people. You know, it may not be the same kind of people who have been addicted to pornography. So you cannot make that correlation. That's one thing. The other thing, even in the sexuality education, whether they are addicted or they are not addicted, we just give them this message that actually it is not only our opinion as Muslims, even non-Muslim sex therapists. Like I throw names like Ian Kerner. If you want, you can Google Ian Kerner or Romina Dowinshaw. These are non-Muslims. The other one is Michael Castleman. At least three of this, they are saying that actually pornography does not help. Pornography has been a major source of their problem cases. The reason is, so what they explain is, pornography is damaging to our understanding of sex because number one, they always present.
Okay. First of all, it is not real.
It's not real.
They are all actually
actors.
Okay.
So that's the word.
It's like you see Jackie Chan chop a piece of wood one time, and see them 3, 4. He's seen doing doing it, and then you see whether by seeing 1,000 times you can chop a wooden piece of wood. It doesn't work because first of all, these are all theater, and there's a lot of props involved. Secondly, the writing say that it damages your perception about what sex should be like. So if you see pornography material, they will see that women are so amorous, women are so willing and all that. And they will, when we read, they say they were angry such that everything looks so big or so nice. But actually, that is not in reality. In couple relationship, at the end of the day, the wife is sometimes very tired. I have cases where the wife will say, I come home. This is typical in Singapore. I will have to cook or warm up the food. Even if I made the husband, the wife is still expected to serve. The wife is still expected to serve, look after the children, put the children to bed. And she said, and my husband will be at the bed just waiting, and say, why are you so late? As she feel, I feel like to piak him. You just wait there. Don't even want to help with the children's homework, or even putting the children to bed, or what they call it, bathing the children. So this kind of real life situation will already be a turn off to the wife, but the husband will expect her to be very romantic, very desirable, and very turn on. Especially for men. Sorry to say, sometimes you think you take out your towel, it's a turn on. It's not. Most of it, the wife will laugh at you or just ignore you because really, I have enough of this. I'm so tired. So there's a need for men in our book about how we need to understand what is the sexual response or the woman's sexual desire. We have this topic called the elusive woman desire. If a man can understand how to get the key to understand, to open the woman elusive desire, then they actually will be able to come to be mutually satisfying. That's about pornography. So pornography spoil your image about what is sexual relationship in reality. It sets a very high expectation, and it sets and high expectation even among yourself, even in yourself. And I must explain that watching pornography, I think, would be quite normal. I have cases of students who are like 9-10 years old and watch pornography by accident, because he just typed sex and the pornographic material came out. But after seeing once, he was traumatized. He's still quite curious to see, because he's still like quite shocked, Enon. So there's this dilemma, so we can cannot expect, as long as it's not an addicted. I think maybe the person you sin is forgiven, but to continue to see as for you to study or what, I don't think it really works in reality, because at the end of the day, it's a couple relationship.
So there's one thing which we would like to emphasize, that this openness towards pornography does not equate to an increase in understanding of sex. Actually, this is not just my opinion, and this is not just a Muslim opinion. The non-Muslim sex therapists are saying that it distorts the right perception on the process of sex. That's their point of view, and we see that in her cases. Yeah.
And in especially in the context of ihsan, especially in the context of adab, this all breaks down when you bring in something like this. I think that's why there is value in what both of you are doing in sexuality education. Perhaps we need that more now than our forebears before.
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah. So we have this title called Sex, Soul and Islam, and we had quite a number of feedback from friends and people around us. I think one of the issue that they asked us about this book, is it like what is the Malay word is indah kabar dari rupa? Is it trying to promote more and try to say more than what it can do? But I feel that at the core, we are really linking about how our sexual experience and we follow the adab of the Prophet will actually refine our soul. So there's a very strong link between soul, sex, and of course Islam as the basis. Yeah, just to share why the title is like so a bit scary, I think.
Or in other words, we don't just use the word sex to like clickbait.
Promote.
It is not a clickbait.
Yeah.
We actually discuss sex. It's not about sexuality. There are elements of sexuality, but it's not skirting around the sexual activity itself. We will discuss about the sexual activity itself. The sexual phenomena is relationship with our iman. And then the second part of the book, we will discuss about whether these ideals that we have about sex, the ideals which are found in the Quran and in the sayings of the Prophet, whether these are actually materialize in the Muslim community. From her cases and from our reading and from history. And also we have read this book by a Tunisian sociologist. Our conclusion in that book, we will give all our substantiation that our conclusion is that the reality does not match with the ideal. And we will also do our own analysis on why is it so. And we offer it to our readers. And we also offer a new way at looking at this thing called the conjugal rights. You know, there's nothing wrong with the concept of conjugal rights, but it is our perception, our understanding of it that needs to be revisited. So that we will go towards, instead of going towards entitlement towards sex, but rather we look at sex as something which is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we come to each other, we don't come with a sense of entitlement that I am your husband and you are my wife. I must get it from you, you must get it from me. That spoils the romance actually. But if you come with a sense that it is only a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in order for her to come to me, I have to attract her, I have to seduce her, I have to persuade her if I have to beg her if I have to. These are the things that lovers do to each other. These are the things that will color up your sex life, rather than the sense of entitlement.
I see there's a lot to learn for all of us from both of you. It's coming up to 10 minutes to the hour. I wonder if anyone would like to ask any questions. You had posted or you had asked people to post questions on your website. I wonder if there's anything there that you want to address.
No, there's none.
Yeah.
No questions.
But we do. Oh yeah, not through WADA, but through our own website.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Our website. Our website. No, our own website.
Yeah, but there are no questions.
Not in relation to WADA.
No, he's referring to.
Okay, sorry, we are checking now.
Our technical support is checking.
Yeah.
No, she's not asking about the after writer.
Yeah. Okay, can I clarify? Are you asking about ask the author for today's session, or ask the writer from our own website, or both can be done? Okay.
While waiting for people to formulate their questions and put it in the chat, maybe you can talk about the ones that you've already received.
Right. So while waiting, you want to share some of the interesting questions that we have? From the lady. We have an interesting question. Complex.
I hope we don't get you wrong, because I think you are referring to questions about tranquil hearts, right?
Preferably, yeah.
Preferably, yeah.
Actually,
there are no questions.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about questions in our Ask the Writer website, we have got 4 questions. I don't know whether that's what you want us to share.
There's a question here. You can post your questions on this Zoom chat. Anyway, okay, there's a question there. Can you
Yeah.
about some real life stories of how you managed to make marriage work? This is one
Right.
question.
Okay. There are many factors involved, and I see all sort of couples, but the one that will work, where at the end of the day they decide not to divorce. My work was actually helping couples who are in process of going for divorce. So I will counsel them and try to see whether there's space for them to actually work on the marriage. So the one that, and I see all sorts of cases from not doing the responsibility, for example, husband not providing finance or wife not taking care of the house, even to the story of both the husband and the wife having extramarital affairs. And this is a very complex problem. What I see that it will work if the couple comes in with an acceptance that I have messed up and I want to take responsibility to change this. And we both make mistake. We both have to learn new way of expressing our need or solving problem, be it especially not by shouting or being angry or being violent. So if this couple come in with that understanding, it can be resolved. So I had helped couple which typically we see men having affairs, and wife will be okay, I forgive you, you do something about it. But I've seen a couple where it's a wife who have an affair, and the husband is willing to give space if she is willing to change. But affairs is very complex. You know, it's actually a whole study on how to do counseling for affairs. So if the couple is willing to own it, if the couple have faith that if we try our best, we will make it work, and then we are willing to forgive one another. And in the study of affairs, because I'm talking about this, the affairs is never about your partner having a third party. The affairs is about what happened in the marriage, that your marriage didn't become a fence or a buffer against outside temptation. And this can happen to anyone. Even for me, I may have another colleague who I find so nice. Osman is good and very nice, but I find another co-worker who's really, I can share and we have common interests, but I have to say, okay, I need to be like chill a bit and refrain myself from being too conversational, being too friendly with him, and keep it professional. So I feel the surah that said, don't be tempted by zina is really true especially in this context. We are so easily open and available to have relationship with other people. And now we even have the dimension, not only in terms of sexual affair, you can have emotional affair. Meaning, you don't have sexual affair with someone, but you have this strong emotional connection with someone who's not your partner, and that connection is very fulfilling. You find more safety in talking to the person. You find it more enjoyable, that we have connection, that we can click. So this is also the beginning part, I think, that will lead to actual affair. Yeah. So to answer your question, basically, yes, it can be done. The question, if the couple is willing to step back. To do this require the person, each partner, to be aware of what is my own baggage. I always felt that couple that I see, they really have a lot of trauma or issues from maybe the family of origin. They could have a violent parents are abusive to one another, and they, although they do not favor it, inevitably they actually model and do the same thing to the partner. So they have to realize, and they learn, for example, aggression is the right way. This, I need to shout to my wife, because if I don't shout, she cannot hear me and she will not listen to me. So I always say, you must check whether she got hearing problem or not. She may, if she doesn't have hearing problem, it doesn't justify shouting to your partner. Plus, this is not the way of the prophet. Yeah. So yes, it does work. For couples who have issues, I would advise that they seek marital counseling, because there are many nuances and layers. And I want to share that we don't have the perfect marriage. In the early days of the marriage, first 2 years, we spent hours, 2-3 hours discussing one issue: whether do you love me? Do you love me enough? Because women and men, I felt, have different needs. For me, I have a need for him to give attention, because if he give attention, it means he loves me. If he can say, oh, I eat curry puff just now with my friend, then in my heart, I like this kind of curry puff, how come you don't remember me? Then it can become an issue. You don't remember me, And you didn't buy for me some more, whereas for me, whatever that you like, I will always buy for you. So this became like, this petty things became an issue about basically whether do you love me enough and whether you remember me enough, yeah, that is the issue for women. I think for men, the need is for maybe acceptance of who they are, and that hopefully you don't change them, but that doesn't happen. So in our early years of marriage, we spent 2-3 hours talking about one issue, and sometimes the issue got repeated a few months time. But that discussion was important for us to sort out our style, and actually in later years we don't have to discuss much.
The question asked for a specific example. Can you give?
Specific example? Yeah, I was talking about my case where the wife had an affair.
Sorry, I was.
Did I answer the question? So if this is the principle.
The questioner asked for a specific example. I wonder if she can remember any.
Yeah, so I do remember this case about the wife who had an affair, and they're willing to work on it and forgive it. This is more difficult because I hadn't see husband forgiving the wife. Wife normally forgive husband. Sorry, to be so sexist. Yep. Yeah.
There's another question relating to Tranquil Hearts. In Tranquil Hearts, it's mentioned that there is a honeymoon phase. So the question is, what is your opinion regarding a reasonable duration for this phase?
There is not so much duration, but rather what happened in the relationship. Okay, so honeymoon.
Your entire marriage could be honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
But actually, the honeymoon stage is the unrealistic aspect of marriage, actually.
Yeah. Honeymoon stage is where everything is perfect and wonderful. And maybe some couple will go through it for their life, but I think unlikely because we are basically quite.
And I also think it is not healthy.
Yeah.
Because the next stage is called, can you remember?
Honeymoon.
The realistic.
Yeah.
The realistic. We can't exactly remember the stages, but I can remember roughly. The next stage is where reality sinks in, and when reality sinks in, you can handle it. That is when the marriage really grows.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, memory is not so good, but it's something like that. Honeymoon stage is only the first stage. The next stage is reality sets in, and that is where you make it or break it. Some couple actually fail.
Honeymoon, disenchantment phase, and then reality phase, and maturity phase, and golden phase. So we have to go through this. I think this is we quoted this is our answer. You can go to our website enonandosman.com. We have a question about this, and we answer and we post actually the picture of it. So basically, after the honeymoon phase, this is this enchantment phase where you get irritated with your partner, but that is the reality, and then you sort out the irritation and what is it that you expect and how we can actually come to a good understanding of what is acceptable and what is not. And after that, you have the reality. That okay, he will not remember me with Karipap, but it's okay. I know he loves me because he will do other things for me. He will when I need him to accompany me go somewhere, he will do, even though he doesn't like it. So that is the reality stage that we accept. And maturity is like, okay lah, he doesn't buy me Karipap, never mind lah, I buy myself. And I buy more and eat all by myself. Don't want to give him. Yeah. And now is that he want Karipap, he buy, I buy. He doesn't buy also, it's okay. Yeah. So we learn to accept. Actually, in just a side note, in couple relationship, the core of issues. So when I read this very interesting book called Fighting for Your Marriage. Okay, so they talk about couple problem as issues, which is what is happening, and then like for example, quarrel about money, in-laws, careers, that kind of thing, and then they talk about what is the hidden issue. So the hidden issues will be things like control and power. Sometimes you argue with your partner about issues. Actually, it's not about the issue. It's about they want to control you. Who have more power in the marriage? And things about recognition for your contribution or his contribution. So, and things like needing and caring. Okay, so these are hidden issues. You can Google this book. It's by Howard Markman, Fighting for a Marriage. You find it available. But he made a very strong point. The mother of all issues is acceptance. all of us actually had difficulty accepting our partner and what they do. You know, it's like if you come home and maybe the glass wasn't well clean, or your wife had cleaned, or your husband had cleaned all the dishes, but the sink is dirty. Okay, so what? You know, you cannot expect him to clean the way you do, because like my mom would train, after I clean, after I wash the dishes, I must take the sponge and clean, and not even a single speck of things should be in the sink. But I cannot expect Osman to do that, because he's not me, and I have to accept that is the difference. And that whether he's able to clean the sink as clean as well as I do, it doesn't make a difference, right? We are not going to have Ministry of Environment coming to our house and say, this is, I fine you $500 for not cleaning your sink. It's not a sin. Yeah, so that's the importance, that if we can accept our partner for what they are within limit, of course not yang very not accepted by Islam, then it should be okay. Yeah.
So,
we will type the title of the book. Sorry, textbook will do that. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We don't want to disappoint the questioner. So the questioner asked how long is the duration. We have to say that there is no standard length, 1 month, 2 months. The gauge is actually, honeymoon phase is when everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Everything is honky-dory. There's no argument between you. That is the honeymoon stage. It can last for 1 day, the next day after the wedding, or it can last for years.
Yeah.
But don't be mistaken by the term honeymoon. It's like that is good. Actually, it's not very healthy.
Yeah.
If you can't find your partner's fault, you are blind.
Yeah.
It is better that you find the fault and you learn to accept those faults. That is where your marriage actually matures. Okay.
That is human relationship.
Okay, thank you for that. There's one quite interesting question with regards to counseling. The questioner is asking, when do you start counseling? Do you start when it is still trivial, or when things start getting serious? So that's a good question.
Okay, so in my experience, it's always good to get help when it's early, okay? Because, you know, like you have nauzubillah, like cancer, when it's early stage, when you get help, it's faster, it's easier to resolve. You didn't have a negative way of coping, you didn't have so much hurt and irritation and scorekeeping, you know, so it's easier to work on it rather than later. Okay, at which level is it? You know, like he irritates me because he doesn't, when I ask him to wash toilet, he will, this is true, and when I ask Brother Osman to wash toilet, his idea of washing toilet is to pour half a bottle of Clorox. And he said, I don't see anything, no problem. I said, you don't see anything because you have bad eyesight. He was almost 1,000. But I learned to accept it. If I find it, I cannot accept, I find something floating or whatever, I will flush or I will use the brush, okay? So because I cannot accept him to do otherwise. So it is thing that happen in your marriage that irritates you, but you can still cope with it, then it's fine. But if it's really, I would see 4 things that I thought was important. If you have scorekeeping, this is second time, this is the third time, this is 4th time. Okay, this is the early sign that you should get help. Okay, scorekeeping. Secondly is like small matter become a big flare out. Why is it because of the toilet becomes such a big issue? We really fight over it. You know, you are angry with me, you go and sleep in another bedroom, or you refuse to talk to me a few weeks. These are symptoms that you're not doing well. Spinning, the story cup, the argument keep coming back. We argue about something, and a few months later we argue about something, but it seems similar. It's more about maybe you are not putting your effort, the underlying things, you are not putting your effort in the marriage. So when you have all these factors, then it's about time actually to seek help if you are not able to solve it yourself. Even for me and him, when I feel like I'm overwhelmed about our marriage, I happen to have free counseling for my friends. I will ask them for their help and opinion, and then we would kind of talk it out. Of course, I have the advantage of being trained, and I know how to process and really listen and don't be defensive. So I'm the more okay lah. He's work in progress, but he's improved already. yeah. So when it really upset you and you feel you have scorekeeping lah, I think that's important. When you really feel that I put in too much in the marriage, it's not. This is assuming there's no no like things outside boundary. For example, affairs or flirting. not giving responsibility about money, or even like taking. I have cases where when the wife is asleep, the husband can transfer money now by pay now, pay lah. Just use her finger, put on the phone. These are really things that are like a bit beyond boundary, and you really have to put your foot down. Yeah, you'll be, we will be quite perplexed to know that, but also is actually a strong introvert. It's very quiet. Yeah, 30 years ago, he's a strong introvert. I'm an extrovert, but we gel well because we can communicate and we can share. And as a couple, you really must be able to share your worry and your fear and really your doubt, and your partner can say, it's okay, I'm here for you. I will not judge you. That's what being a partner is about. That's what your soulmate is about.
Have you answered the question?
Yes, when? As soon as possible. And then secondly, the indicator is that when you get very irritated, this scorekeeping, flare out over small thing. Read this book. It has the indicator. I really like this book. It's an old book, but it's really one of the best books about marriage. Any other question? Yeah.
So there's several related questions, but I think essentially what people are asking is if you are adding all this new knowledge or new experience you've been having in the past 20 years into your forthcoming books.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Sexual and Islam combines both the kind of, we have the part about fiqh. I thought what was good, Osman wrote these two books for the information of the rest. He retired 10 years ago. So we experienced it where I'm working. I decided to go back to work full time because all the while I was working part time. So we have a foundation that I will work full time and he will write the book. And sometimes as a writer, he said one day I come back, I only write one line. I say it's okay, just try your best. So after 10 years, it's ready. It really go into depth to understand why are we in this situation where we really have an unbalanced perception about what is a sexual, how does men and women see sex? Because the common narrative is that women don't have sexual desire. Men's sexual desire and fulfillment is more important than women. This is across, I think, not only in Islam, most culture, even Western culture. I have Samira here who maybe can say something. Yeah. So that book analyzes why we have this narrative, and because with the understanding of that, then we can actually shift and very strong into what does the Prophet say about women's needs for sexual satisfaction. I think all of you have heard of the hadith that three of the witnesses of men are revealed, and one of them is that when he has fulfilled his desire before the wife fulfilled the desire. If this hadith become a hukum, men will fail 90%, I think. But it's not. So we discussed a bit about this and what does this hadith mean in terms of the balance of how Islam sex is supposed to be seen and practiced by Muslim. So I like the way he has done it.
Thank you for your insights on this, and thank you for your generosity in sharing your experiences.
Right. So we have my friend Samira here who say that yes, misunderstanding of women's sexual issues and satisfaction is still an issue for. She's from US. It's also an issue for women in US. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So
many communities.
You can read in the chat.
Yeah.
So there's certainly much work to be done, and thank you so much for working on your forthcoming books, and we'll certainly have you again to talk about those books when it comes on board, inshallah.
Doakan that it'll be okay.
I'm very conscious of the time,
yes.
And it seems that more questions are coming in, but if you have questions, you can feel free to send those questions into enonandosman.com.
Yeah.
And so they are standing by to help you. As Enon was saying. So
and also follow us in IG. We post the answer in IG or in our website.
Thank you for spending your evening with us. And I see you have a lot of supporters and a lot of fans. This speaks to your years of experience in helping so many couples. So Thank you.
Thank you
And
for having us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
I feel that it's too short.
No, it's okay. Right. So
Inshallah.
right, there'll be other time, another opportunity, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
And Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.